Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson, and man, I just want to say, look, it's been a while since I've done one of these mailbags. It's been at least a couple weeks since I even asked the questions from subscribers on Inside the Red Raiders. But there's just been a lot going on. I think for everybody, including myself, and but I didn't want to ignore your questions. There were some good ones, so better late than never is what I'm saying with this. And so let's dive right into these. The first one comes from Let It Fly, who wants to know, do we have an expected date or outline for Kuminga's timing for a narrowing of his list or making a choice? You say he's surprised Euro Ball isn't one of them. Well, I haven't ruled out the Euro Ball. I think the thought is that Kuminga wants to stay, in America, go the G League route. But I don't know that he's completely ruled out Euro Ball. So in terms of narrowing his choices, I do think it is between Texas Tech, if he chooses a college, the G League, or going overseas somewhere. Duke and Kentucky, I don't believe is in it. I think maybe Auburn could be a very, very outside choice or dark horse, but I do believe it's Texas Tech or G League is what we're really looking at here. And in terms of a timeline, I really don't know what that would be. I've said this before in terms of, I don't know if Coach Beard has a timeline or even if he's already moved on. But I think Kuminga's going to go G League. And I don't think there is right now, there is a deadline. There's so much up in the air with the coronavirus and everything. He may be sitting or waiting, not sitting around. He may be waiting to see if there's actually going to be a season with the G League because of the way everything's going, which is very much in doubt. So maybe if that happens, and it looks like there's going to be a college basketball season, maybe he does choose Texas Tech, or maybe he goes overseas. But there's no guarantee that leagues overseas are going to play for sure either. So I think it's still very much up in the air. I don't have a timeline for you. There's been a couple reports, like on Twitter and stuff, from people who have said dates, but I've never personally heard a date from anyone on Kuminga. I've heard before that there was smoke there with Tech, that there was a real possibility, and honestly, at this point, I really believe he's going pro. I would be surprised if he ends up at Tech, but I'm not ruling it out. Now, when he's going to make that decision, I have no idea. This is the honest answer. All right, RJM2186 says, it's been awfully quiet on the football recruiting trail lately. Any idea when it's expected to pick up? And are there any recruits on your radar that could commit soon? Yeah, in talking with some people in and around Texas Tech program, it has been slow. But we're at a certain point where they haven't seen a recruit in person since early March, right? Since the coronavirus struck. And, in-person recruiting's been, shut down. Now, look, people are still committing. Don't get me wrong. And Tech had a rush, I believe in April, where, April, I think some in May, where they were getting, they got, several commits, some big-time commits, too, to the 2021 class. But I think all those guys were guys who visited. Some of them visited during the season last year, then in January for a junior day, and then again in March. So, that's a lot of time. That's really how you do it, how you get commits, especially, at a program like Texas Tech right now. It's a process. So, first off, you don't want to offer guys who take up spots that you don't want. You know what I mean? So you can't just offer guys that you think might be worthy of a scholarship. And some of these guys, look, the whole evaluation period of talking to these guys' counselors, talking to these guys' coaches, talking to their teachers, their parents, really getting to know what these guys are like personality-wise, seeing their transcripts, that kind of thing, they haven't been able to do. And then just kicking the tires on them, just seeing them run, seeing them in practice, their workout habits, just all that. They're not getting a chance to do that. So they're able to offer some more guys that they knew they were going to offer. And then I think you could even see, in talking with some people, they offered some guys where they felt pretty confident they were going to offer. They were still going to see them in person, but now they can't, and it's going to be delayed at least through July. They said, okay, we better offer these guys because we know we want them. So they've done that. And, they're going through the process with that as much as they can, virtual visits and all that. But bottom line is, we're at a spot where they have gone through the process one way or the other, where those guys have committed to Tech or committed elsewhere, or they're still, recruiting them. and guys who aren't going to make a decision yet. I mean, they've exhausted all that, So now it's an interesting time in recruiting in terms of everything is virtual, everything's FaceTimers, Zoom, and phone calls. There's no in-person recruiting. They can't have people on campus to show off what they're doing here out in Lubbock, on Texas Tech's campus. So, what they've really been trying to do is add grad transfers or junior college guys who could help immediately. We saw that with Tre'Davious Townsend, who I'm going to talk about here in a minute, running back from Alabama. And then there's a guy, another huge need, which is at safety, who I believe is going to commit and choose the Red Raiders. But we're going to wait on the announcement, is Eric Monroe out of LSU. It's not like I'm reporting a silent commit and ruining his announcement. That's my prediction. That's what I believe is going to happen. I know the coaches did entertain him on a virtual visit. They talked with his mama. Mama likes the staff, and when mama likes the staff, that's half the battle in recruiting. So I think your main competition there is going to be Houston, hometown. But I think in the end, Coach Wells and Texas Tech are going to end up reeling in Monroe. So I think there'll be some fireworks there. I think with Townsend and Monroe, in terms of immediate help, I think that's some pretty good fireworks. Now, in terms of 2021, a guy that pops in my head is Caleb Berry, a recent offer from Lufkin, running back, who told me he really likes Texas Tech. He also told me he was thinking about waiting to commit until after the third game of his senior season in the fall. So, that would be him moving it up quite a bunch. But I think, Washington, Arkansas, and Tech are who you're watching there. Tech really needs a running back in this class. They don't have one yet, on the commitment list. So Caleb Berry will be huge. He'd be a big addition to the class. So that's who I'd be watching for right now. All right, speaking of running backs, Tech Free asked us, and he asked us before Tre'Davious Townsend, the grad transfer from Alabama, committed to Texas Tech. But he said, was there any available running backs Tech can get from Utah State? Of course, they got Armand Shine from Utah last year. He shined when he was healthy, but he was hurt. That's the story of Armand's career, was he was hurt for almost the entirety of it. When he wasn't, he played well and he produced. So I hate to see that for him. He applied for another year of eligibility. The NCAA denied it. So unfortunately, that was the end of his collegiate career. But like I said, they brought in another grad transfer, that being Tre'Davious Townsend from Alabama, 6 foot, 195 pounds. He played running back, receiver, special teams at Alabama. He backed up, couldn't get on the field because honestly, he was backing up guys that are going to be first-round draft picks at Alabama. That's just the way it goes. But he was a 4-star guy coming out of high school. It was a small high school, small town in Alabama. But he was he's bigger, faster, and more highly rated than the guy who was third string last year. So, I really like Townsend. I think he's going to be plug in. I still think Sir Roderick Thompson is your starter. He looks really good in the spring. Then you got Townsend, and you got Taj Brooks coming in, who I mentioned in a previous video, is moving into campus already. So, this weekend that this video is airing, actually, a guy who ran for 4,000 yards in his high school career at Manor High School there in the Austin area. So all of a sudden, you feel a lot better about your running back room. Maybe they'll add one more guy. It would be like a walk-on type, but they do have some walk-on guys, walk-ons that I saw in the spring. I never mention a walk-on as someone you can depend on. And that's nothing against anybody personally, but it's just like a numbers game. I mean, only 1 or 2% of the time is a walk-on going to play like significant snaps and a significant role for you. It does happen. It always makes for a great story, but the percentages just doesn't really bear that out. So those 3 guys are who I look for, and Townsend was the big addition I think we all were looking for, Tech Freak. All right, now this one is a baseball question. It's from Texas Tech Austin. He says, "Hey, it looked like the baseball team had a very legit shot at winning it all," which I predicted they were going to. I think they did too. They were a complete team. I mean, pitching, starting pitching, bullpen, defense was amazing. Power, hit for average. They had speed. They could run. Tech doesn't run a lot, but I mean they could. They wanted to. I mean they could do whatever they wanted. Coach Tadlock had all the chess pieces available, man, and so it was really set up for them to make a run. But hey, it wasn't meant to be. So Tech Austin wants to know kind of who are some guys leaving, who are coming back, that kind of thing. Well, I'm going to mention some guys leaving first off. A couple guys were drafted, a couple pitchers, no surprise to anybody. Clayton Beeter was drafted by the Dodgers with a number 66 pick. And then Bryce Bonnin was drafted by the Reds with the 84th pick. I actually read, this is from the Tech official site. I didn't know this, but just reading a press release that that's the highest any Texas Tech pitching combo has been drafted in the program's history. So that's saying something. This is a pretty storied program, especially at this point under Tadlock, and what they did in the 90s and stuff and before. So that's really impressive to see that. And you hate to see those guys go, but you're excited for them, All right, and then a couple other guys. Brian Klein, guy's been just amazing for this program. That's a huge loss, but he signed a free agent deal with Washington Nationals, defending champs. So that's exciting. Big bad John McMillan. He was probably my favorite guy, other than Josh Young. And I really like Cam Warren too. I could keep going on some of these guys, but bottom line is. John McMillan was one of my favorite players to watch, whether it be on the mound or whatever, with a bat in his hand. He was just, the heat. There was always drama when he came into the game, and he ended up, he's gone unfortunately, but he signed a free agent deal with the Royals. So, good luck to him. That was really cool that he came back last year. It stinks the way it turned out, but it was out of course, any of our control, but I look forward to hearing about John McMillan doing something big, down the road. All right, and then there's a recent announced transfer. I think this has actually been known for a little bit, but infielder T.J. Rumfield transferred to Virginia Tech. So from one Tech to another, Rumfield left the program. And I do have some good news. Now returning is pitcher Connor Queen. Now he was a senior this past shortened season, but the NCAA granted, and the NCAA did something good. I'm going to give them props for once. But they gave another season of eligibility for all spring sports seniors that had their seasons cut short. So I'm glad they did that. Now, one thing that does is if there's some guys coming back from their senior years, it for an extra senior year, it does kind of change recruiting. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily what's happening with Tech, but this class, but they've had at least 4 or 5 decommits from their, or not decommits, but guys that signed who aren't going to end up at Texas Tech. And I was going through all their, on Perfect Game, because I'm not going to pretend, there's only so much time in the day. I wish we had more time to devote to baseball recruiting, but we don't. But I was on Perfect Game's website and was looking at some of the guys who, I think were coming in. Some were drafted. Not sure if they're going the professional route or if they're going to come to Tech. So I'm leaving that alone for right now. I may do its own story where, okay, here's what's happening with this recruiting class, but there's so many guys who decommitted. Then with the draft being weird, with the coronavirus going on, the roster being just kind of different this year, this should be devoted to just the recruiting, the 2020 signing class, what's going on with that. A whole story or video should be devoted just to that. So I'm going to leave that alone for this mailbag. But that gives you an idea who's leaving. Connor Queen's staying, so that's good. The bottom line is Texas Tech's going to be loaded again. They're going to make another run to hopefully to the College World Series again. And they're going to be a contender in the Big 12. So let there be no doubt that is going to be where the program will be at whenever they play ball again, which hopefully is next season. But with that, I want to say thank you for all your great questions, Inside the Red Raiders subscribers, and then thank all you out there for watching. Until next time.